am working on my own home renovation, and I know for many of you that feels like a never-ending project. Today, I wanted to share a behind-the-scenes look with you at exactly how I'm going to select the hardware for some of the key areas in my home. I'm working on my kitchen, one of our family areas, and our master bathroom. I wanted to make each of these very special and tie some of these gorgeous finishes in this hardware back into the finishes that we've selected for our kitchen design. So come along as I share this process with you and hopefully take some of the overwhelm out of the whole process and show you how easy it can be to narrow down the options and pick the right style for you. So one of the biggest struggles that many of us face, including me, is which finish should you select for your hardware. This can feel very overwhelming, and in fact, it stopped me from making a decision on my project and held us up because I really wasn't sure which color direction I wanted to take this project. So my first bit of advice is to narrow down those endless options to maybe 2 or 3 options that you would love to live with. So in my home, I really looked around at the finishes that I was already working with to take some inspiration. That included the marble top, the painted finish on my islands, the floor finishes, and also some of the furniture finishes that I'm currently working with and hope to include in my project. Using those cues, I knew I would love a warm silver, which can often be found in a polished nickel finish. Now, I've used polished nickel on a number of projects, and I've actually had it in my home for the last 10 years. In our last renovation, we included polished nickel in a lot of our fixtures, so I was really inspired to push the envelope and do something different. That inspiration led me to this beautiful brass finish. Now I know when you hear brass, you may think, oh my goodness, that's so outdated, it looks so vintage, it looks so old. That was the exact reaction that my hubby had. He was so surprised that after renovating a home that was built in the 50s and removing some of those dated finishes, I wanted to go backwards. But in fact, we're moving forward. I love the style, and I always love to embrace new finishes that have a nod to the past. So I love the elegance of this gold. It has such a beautiful finish. It's not overly bright, so the subdued tones really can tie back into some of the existing finishes that we're working with. And here you can see how beautifully it pairs with the tones of the marble that we're working with. A lot of these brassy tones can be found in all this gorgeous veining, and it really just picked up this gorgeous, gorgeous calming color all throughout this gorgeous space. Now the other dilemma that I was working with is a lot of the finishes in my kitchen are very monochromatic, meaning they're all similar shades of the same color. So I wanted to use the hardware as an opportunity to add that little bit of a pop into my design space. Now I'll be honest, it took me a little bit of time to really embrace the idea. Just like you, I'm used to seeing certain colors and certain finishes, and I had to stop a second and say, okay, deep down inside, what would I love to see year after year after year? And every time I looked at the brass, I was so inspired, and I just felt like I would love to see this color, and I would love to be inspired by something I haven't seen day in and day out. Another big struggle that we often face is how to know which size hardware to select. Oftentimes we're looking in a showroom or in a catalog or online, and there's all these different dimensions that may or may not mean anything to you. And what it really boils down to is how to know which is the right size for your project. Now oftentimes I like to go with a standard 4-inch drawer pull whenever I'm working on a drawer project. But in this case, we have some really large oversized drawers that were intentionally designed to hold pots, lids, pans, Tupperware, and certain storage items that I wanted to be able to access with a pull-out drawer. So for that reason, I was really attracted to some of these larger size pulls, which are very exaggerated and may or may not be the right match for your kitchen. So a lot of it is just a matter of trial and error. I brought this along with me, along with the sample of another size to see which would be the right fit. And then I come around, bring these samples home, and really just try them out in my space. Here you can see how this drawer pull looks in side of this drawer front. And honestly, I really love it. I know it's a little bit larger than it should be, but I love the dramatic statement that this size can offer. Now here you can see a little bit of a smaller option, and this is equally a beautiful solution. Now in the end, we decided to go with the smaller version because we have a number of drawers all throughout our kitchen, and I didn't want the kitchen to be overwhelmed with brighter gold, as well as oversized pulls all over the kitchen. In this case, a little bit goes a long way. So since I went with this more intricate, beautifully detailed drawer pull, that helped me decide which direction to take my knobs. In order to balance that and give a little bit of contrast, I opted for a simpler knob. Here you can see the profile of the knob that we were considering, and I wanted to mix in a little bit of traditional and a little bit of modern. So for one, I was looking for a round knob, which is very traditional and very classic, but I wanted a flat front, which has that beautiful modern feeling to it. The other thing I loved about this knob was how it tapers in the back. Now it's a little bit different from the pulls that I'm working with, but it does tie in beautifully to a lot of the details that we've already included in our home, such as this gorgeous trim, our colors on the paint, the colors of our marble, and just the overall style of our home, which is a colonial style home. I really hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes look at one of the projects that I'm working on, especially in my own home. Now, if you feel overwhelmed, remember those tips that I've taught you and take those cues from the colors that you're working with in your home. I'm just about to place the order for the hardware, so stay tuned in just a few weeks where I share the beautiful after results with you. Now, one of these is usually very monochromatic, meaning the color will basically blend with the colors that you're already